didn't touch it, it just went blank.
Because, push the button on the top, just push it.
That's a power. Watch the new season Sunday.
No, you've got
Swipe it.
3 minutes, yeah.
Going to the 6 pretty fast over there.
So how do you get your documents to open up there?
Most of the time it works real
You know,
well.
it says there's a check mark, now I can hit it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Go.
Hey, there we go, finally.
See, if you listen to me, you'll get it.
Yeah, I know. That's not one of my better assets.
Just like my wife, she doesn't listen.
All right, still,
Not a better agenda. We don't have an approved agenda. It's
Oh, he's been taking it easy.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, how do you get the attachments?
all right.
That good, huh?
How do you?
That good, huh?
Got that tablet figured out, Russell?
Push the button.
I was gonna say,
Let's see where we at.
You know it's gonna work.
Oh, now we're back to.
Gary's is doing an update, that's why it's taking.
what the heck?
If you get through the update, he'll be okay.
No.
Did it turn on? Should be, yeah, we're gonna wait and see. We only got a little bit to go here yet.
Mine's defective. No, I don't know, I haven't found it,
Oh, no.
it's probably the one I deleted last night.
Oh, okay.
Forget about zoning, or were you busy, Russ? The hearing.
Had a last minute deal I had to take.
That mark isn't all the way over there yet.
Melanie.
As soon as that mark is all the way over there. See, if you read that, it'll tell you that
Yeah,
it takes
pretty
about
much.
10 minutes to do that. For some reason.
What was it in the
Yep.
It should be a
I had
PDF
that the other
attached
day.
to an email.
Okay,
Last
so
week.
it says PDF and then it's got
It'll
four.
come.
You don't have to do it.
It's got the 4 what?
as is.
That's 3 times.
I
you take
know.
something away
We're
from
trying.
you. I'll say money, take something away from you.
Oh, for crying out loud.
No,
But not written in.
in your job description.
Wish it would stay lit up longer, and it goes dark, and then if you don't swipe it, it.
Ha.
What are you looking for? Agenda? Couldn't get it on mine either.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's nowhere to be had here.
Oh, it's great.
Was it really?
Best in show was my best.
It says I've got one email. I got more than that.
Here we go, Jerry.
Back in business.
Of course.
I could get it, but I had to go into the,
Get that same thing. All
on
kinds
the
of
internet and go
misspelled
to
words.
the web,
They're
county
not even
website
in
and
it.
get
The
it
words
that
aren't
way.
even, aren't even in. The letters aren't even, they're not even
I know,
finished.
right, right.
Here's.
Hey, we got this?
Documents? Documents, okay. We'll try that.
Right, it's 7 o'clock, and we're gonna call the meeting to order. Bill is gonna do roll call.
Mrs. Krantz.
Here.
Mr. Heisey.
Here.
Mr. Tim.
Here.
Mr. Cap.
Here.
Mr. Eckstein. Mr. Weddy.
Here.
Mrs. Colada.
Here,
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Wadel.
Here.
Mr. Rothermel.
Here.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yeah.
All are present.
all right, let's please stand for silent prayer and
That was good.
Like that?
Together here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, could I have an approval of the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented. Second it.
Ready, second by Wado. Any questions
Hi, team. I'm Brandon Bonfiglio from the Waushara County ATV Association. I talked to you guys last month, so thank you again for allowing me to speak this month. Over the past month, you guys had a meeting at one of the committees, and one of the things that came up was, well, this is the same as 2015. I think we're a little bit different than what happened in 2015. I make the joke I was still in Afghanistan in 2015, and everything that's happened since then is pretty new. So we have new members, new leadership. We have a great ordinance that covers the residents of our county. Since 2015, these municipalities have adopted ordinances. That's the City of Wautoma, Village of Plainfield, Village of Hancock, Village of Red Granite, Town of Plainfield, Town of Hancock, Town of Oasis, Town of Warren, Town of Aurora, Town of Poisippi, and the Town of Deerfield. We have 2 towns that are pending. So all those things that I just mentioned were adopted by the town, village, or city board, and that doesn't include Town of Dakota, Town of Coloma, Town of Richford, which already had ATV routes approved as of 2015. So why I'm here today is I'd like to ask for a couple of specific ATV routes, as many as 3 on county roads. So again, they're still limited to 35 miles per hour. The same rules apply. We took the rules and regulations from the DNR, made it more restrictive, and we've gotten approval from the towns that they reside in. So the first thing that we're asking for is County Road XX. So that's from County Road D to Chicago Avenue, and that's a maximum of 1.4 miles that we're asking for. Or County Road D, we can get to it from another angle, the town of Borth, and that's from 37th Avenue to County Road XX, which is 0.45 miles. And so that's in the town of Poisippi. So the other area that we're looking for is the town of Warren. There's a couple of county roads that we're asking for, and that's County Road E from Cumberland Road to Cumberland Avenue. That's 1.1 miles. And County Road EE from Cumberland Road to Lowerville limits. That's 0.9 miles. Or if you guys don't want to have 2 different county roads, we could just use County Road E from Cumberland Avenue to the Red Granite Village limits, and that would get us into the village of Red Granite. As I stated before, it's already been approved by the village board. So, are there any questions about what I just asked for there? So it's a maximum of 3 county roads that I'm asking for at this particular time. And we could whittle that down to 2 if we wanted to use a little bit longer stretch of County Road E instead of County Road E and County Road EE. No concerns about what I asked for? Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next we have Jerry Lauer. Jerry is from Plainfield.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Lauer from Plainfield. I am the president of the WC Roadrunners ATV UTV Club. I'm here tonight to hopefully ask for some county roads as well. 1.7 miles of County Road J in the town of Oasis between 73 and County P. We need 2,900 feet of County Road V in the town of Hancock that goes over the overpass of 39 between Beechnut Avenue and West North Lake Street. 4,800 feet of County Road FF in the town of Hancock where Buttercup Avenue turns into FF up to 6th Avenue. 378 feet of County Road GG in the town of Richford between Chicago Road and Cottonville Avenue. These field county roads would be greatly appreciated and would help gain revenue in the county. Right now, all the ATV people are going to Adams County. We need to bring that money back into Waushara County, and this is one way we can do it. We need to grow Waushara County and get going on it. So I thank you for your time. If you want a copy of the roads that I asked for, I have copies for you. So just let me know. Thank you.
Next we have Troy Schmitz. Oh, all right. Deborah Schmitz from
Again, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Deborah Schmitz. I live in the town of Deerfield. I just became a member of the ATV club last night. I would like to see the county incorporate with the municipalities and with the townships and work jointly to get these ATV trails up and running throughout the counties. An expanded ATV trail system will provide additional vacation and recreational opportunities and enhance the economy by increasing tourism. My husband and I, we go ATV riding at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. We have to go to Adams County. We spend between $50 and $100 every time we go with gas, food, and gas and food. We take trips on the weekends. We spend about $500. That is money that is not in the Waushara County Waushara County. If we had it in Waushara County, we would be staying here and running our own roads. I'm hoping to see the ATV trail system rival the snowmobile trails, which are 25,000 trails right now, which loop and connect. Currently, there are roughly 355,000 registered ATV right now compared to 200,000 snowmobiles. So we are missing out on a lot of revenue because we're not able to run our ATVs on any county roads. So I'd like you to take into consideration the gentleman's proposals for the county road expansion. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we'll go to unfinished business. Before we do that, Jeff would like to give us an update on the storm.
Good evening. I just wanted to take a few minutes to explain what happened last Wednesday afternoon. At 2:15, we received a request from a broadcast from National Weather Service that we were under severe thunderstorm warning. At 2:36, we started to get the first reports of damage. The main part of the storm, or the most severe, entered the county up from the south, from the town of Richford and town of Dakota, made its way up towards Wautoma, part of Marion, and then it hit town of Wautoma, town of Mount Morris, village of Wild Rose, and the towns of Saxville and Springwater. Saxville area received the most damage from what we saw. Everything that happened, we only had one reported injury, and that was a person that was struck by glass when a window broke out, and he received cuts. We did not receive any other reports of injuries or any serious injuries. The storm mainly took down trees, and the trees falling on homes or structures was the major source of damage. There were some pole buildings that were ripped apart because of the winds, but everything that was damaged in the county was damaged by trees falling on them. The fire departments responded, and between the highway department opening up the state roads and the county roads, and the fire departments working on the town roads, most of the roads were passable by Wednesday evening. Some of them were still closed and were opened up the next day, depending on location and that too. But we were able to get around and make contact with most of the people by Wednesday night. We called in our night crew, our night deputies, early to help staff the road, and we called in off-duty people to assist us with this. We had some state troopers assigned to our area, and they helped out also. Our dispatch center, we had 2 dispatchers working and the supervisor, and as the storm came in from 2 o'clock, from 2:30 till 7 o'clock, we took 324 reports, or 324 locations of damage or things that needed our attention. After 7 o'clock, we received another 91 reports of locations that needed our attention. The 911 system was overloaded to the point where if you walked into the dispatch center, which I did about 3:30, there were once in a while you would hear a beep. That was the 911 system telling us that there were backup calls that the dispatchers weren't able to keep up with. As time permitted, they went back and answered each 911 call that was placed to the office to check to see if the persons were still in need of an emergency or what they were reporting. So every 911 call should have been handled eventually by our dispatchers. The extent of the damage, again, like I said, was the worst up in the Saxville, Springwater area. The National Weather Service did arrive on Friday afternoon. 2 people from the Green Bay office did a damage assessment. They were particularly interested in 2 corridors that showed up on their radar, and they wanted to check those areas. One of the areas ran from Wild Rose up towards Gilbert Lake, And the other one started in Mount Morris, ran up towards past Kuzel and up towards Saxville and north of Saxville. So those areas we did take a look at, and they did assess the damage. They are determining whether or not the damage was, actually they believe this damage was a combination of straight line winds. There's the potential that we had 2 weak tornadoes, one possible tornado by Lake Christine, another possible tornado by Village of Wild Rose on the west side of the village. And then we had several areas that were described as microbursts by the meteorologist. This was described by one of the guys was like a bomb of air came down. If you look at an aerial view of those areas, the wind took all the trees and kind of fanned them out, and that was from those microbursts. Mark Piofsky was able to get the assistance of the Green Lake County Sheriff's Department and the Hancock Fire Department. Both those agencies have drones, and we were able to get them to fly over the damage areas and to take videos of those damage areas. Mark was going to relay that information to the National Weather Service to help them with their assessment of the damage, and possibly at some point we can get them on the county website, or Mark can make a presentation to you to show you the damage from the air. The video footage is phenomenal when you see that the damage and how it was affected us. The state of Wisconsin, Mark requested assistance from State Emergency Management and was not able to get much assistance from them. We requested the State Patrol or the DNR to fly their planes over the area, and we weren't able to get that done. So Mark made contact with those 2 agencies to get their drones up and flying. So that's kind of a synopsis of what we had. And like I say, right now, we believe all the utilities have been restored. The utility company stated they would hook up power to those homes that weren't substantially damaged. And both Adams Columbia and Alliant Energies brought in crews from all over their service areas. Plus, they brought in contract companies that they work with. So by Friday, I think most of the power was restored in the area. There were a few areas that still had problems or whatever, but Wednesday night when I was in looking at the damage, I was thinking it'd be 4 or 5 days, several days before the power was back, but the utility companies did a tremendous job getting people back online. So that's briefly just what I wanted to report and let you folks know what happened.
Was Code Red activated at all in this?
No, it wasn't. And when I talked to both Mark and Sally about this, there was a miscommunication with our staff as far as the parameters we use for Code Red. It depends on what we get from National Weather, whether it's a watch or a warning. And we should have used Code Red in this case for a warning, and the watch warning scenario got our staff tripped up. So we did not use Code Red for the initial storm warning. We did use it when we had a gas leak at Round Lake. One of the trees fell and ripped the gas line. We used it then, but for the initial storm, we did not use Code Red. And we're looking at that, and we're dealing with that in our office, and subsequently it's my responsibility.
Thank you.
My fault. Anything else?
Thank you. You all did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, next we have a discussion of possible motion action item, and that would be the committee reports at board meetings. Russell, I think, you had requested, that the committees report to the county board. We talked about, we used to do that all the time, and then we stopped because it got rather lengthy. But I don't know, I think a suggestion has been made that maybe we do 3 at a time, 3 a month, just to bring everyone up to speed on what the committees are working on. Russell, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No comment.
Does anyone have any
since this is my last meeting, I'll say things. So, we have an administrator now, so is it possible that he could incorporate some updates into his report that he'll make on a monthly basis? So, I mean, that would be an option, so that you could cover so many committees every month, specifics, with some specifics.
I assume this works. I would be happy to do whatever the board decides, so I'll leave it up to the discretion of the board, but whatever they want to do. Certainly the administration will go ahead and do that.
Our reports to you.
Yes, and I can incorporate them into my report. And if you, perhaps we could play it by ear initially. If it's too long to report on each committee, we could, as Donna suggested, to break it up into 3 per month or something of that sort. Okay.
Remember you said that, Everett.
Yeah, I was just,
Bernadette, did you have something to
No,
add?
I'm just,
Oh, yeah, okay.
I didn't want to bug up here.
All right. So what's your pleasure? Do we make a motion to that
Reports, and let him pick and choose whatever works for him. And hopefully it will cover every committee by a certain number of meetings.
Everett made a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, thank you, Everett. Motion dies. Okay, we'll move on to new business. And we are very fortunate to have a presentation on property assessed clean energy, Pace, Wisconsin. John, would you like to introduce yourself? John comes from Wisconsin Counties Association, and he is the outreach manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. It's a pleasure for me to be here again this evening. I think some of you know me. I'm a farm boy from Manitowoc County, and I served on the county board there for 8 years, and I was chair in 1992 before I went to work for WCA. Lobbied for them for about 2 years, and then I left for 9 years. I was Sergeant at Arms for the state Senate, and then I went back to WCA in September of 2002. Was the director of insurance operations, and that's when I first started working with Deb. So I just wanted to take a minute and, on behalf of WCA, thank Deb for everything that she has done for us and for the county over the years. Certainly, you were someone that we could bounce things off of, and you never hesitated to contact us as well. You were active within the county administrators and county executives and administrators group, served as an officer. And one of your former colleagues, Tom Moe, who retired, he wasn't present today, but received a big award in Milwaukee that I had an opportunity to participate in that as well. So again, I want to thank the county, not only Deb, but thank the county for allowing Deb to be such a great partner with us. We know that she has left the county in great hands, and so Bob, you're in good shape starting out. And again, just Deb, thank you so much for everything. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about property assessed clean energy, and I'll probably just say PACE from now on, so I don't have to spill that whole thing out. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the program and how I found out about the program. In another effort that I'm working on with the DNR and other groups called Green Tier Legacy Communities, I heard about PACE, and for the first 3 meetings or so, I sat back and I was thinking, what am I missing here? This sounds too good to be true. And what I say to counties and other groups when I do a presentation, it's a no-brainer. I'm also the mayor in Verona, so after I served 8 years on the county board in Manitowoc, I ran 21 years ago for the city of Verona Council, and I've been mayor since 2006. So when I heard about this program where you can promote sustainability, which more and more counties are doing, especially with with tight budgets. They're looking for any savings that they possibly can. And the one number that still amazes me, or the percentage that I hear, is that on an average facility, about 30% of the energy and the utilities is actually wasted. 30%, that's a lot. So there's some tremendous cost savings that can be done. So it's promoting sustainability, but it's also an economic development tool. And the great thing about it as an elected official is there's no federal dollars, there's no state dollars, or there's no local dollars involved in the program whatsoever. So you might wonder why is the Counties Association, and why are counties even involved in this? So PACE, there's residential PACE programs and there's commercial PACE programs. Our effort is only on the commercial side of things. So where you see residential, that's more in the states or like California, where you have a lot more sun, and so there's a lot of solar and so forth. But it's two completely different programs. So the program that we have approved here in the state of Wisconsin is just for commercial PACE. So if you wouldn't mind, Bob, go to the next slide, please. So here's some of the partners that are involved. On the bottom right-hand corner, you see WEC, and WEC stands for Wisconsin Energy Conservation Corporation. They are a nonprofit organization that's based out of Madison. They do energy efficiency work all around the country. So it was really WEC, the City of Milwaukee, and the Von Briesen law firm, where Andy Phillips, most of you know Andy Phillips, they were working on property assessed clean energy. And this legislation was passed in 2009. And they really weren't getting anywhere. There were some people in the private sector that were trying to move this along, and frankly, they were having problems getting into the counties and getting meetings and being able to talk to people about PACE. So I kept hearing about PACE at these meetings at the DNR, and all of a sudden I heard Andy Phillips' name one day. And I said, well, how's Andy involved in this? And found out that their law firm is not accepting any money to do the legal work. It's all pro bono, because they wanted to show that they were a leader in energy efficiency and economic development as well. So WCA, the League of Municipalities, we got involved in marketing the program. Von Briesen, of course, was in from the beginning. The State Energy Office was involved. Foley and Lardner is involved now because one of their top attorneys from Von Briesen went to Foley, and he remains involved in the program. Green Tier Legacy Communities, which is a DNR and other effort, and then ME2, which is out of Milwaukee. So currently in the state of Wisconsin, the only place where PACE was available and projects are actually out there is in the city of Milwaukee. And the city of Milwaukee can do this on their own because they're a first-class city. So they have different authority in the statutes, and we'll talk about the ordinance. So these currently are the partners that are involved in the program, and primarily it's me from WCA and WEC, who last fall we did an RFP and brought them on as a program administrator. We're the ones that are out there marketing the program now to the counties. Next slide, please. This map is outdated by 1 week because as of last week, Thursday, Dane County came into the program. So we now have 19 counties in the program. Sauk County is going to be taking it up in July. Portage County, I've had my initial conversations there. Later this week, I'll be in Winnebago County. Next week, I'm in Door and Calumet County. And we continue to meet with counties. But typically, it takes a number of meetings before we can get it approved. We may go in and talk to the administrator, administrative coordinator, or county executive. And then, sometimes they'll have corporation counsel and the county treasurer involved in the program. Then it goes to a committee. It may go to another committee and then to the full board. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be before the full board this evening. So there's 19 counties in the program, and we're really pretty excited about this. The private sector is really excited that we're doing this, and they just can't wait for us to get approval, hopefully in all 72 counties. So when WCA got involved, we said, number one, we want it to be an open and transparent process. Number two, we didn't want any additional workload, burden, financial responsibility or liability on behalf of the counties, because we knew if we did, we wouldn't get any counties to join the program. We want a consistency statewide, so the counties now that are in the green and have approved this, if a developer or a lender or a property owner is doing business in Racine County or Sheboygan County or St. Croix County or Douglas County, everybody is playing by the exact same rules statewide. So this way it's a lot more efficient, and the developers and the lenders are really interested in becoming involved in the program. Next slide, please. So what is PACE? It assists local businesses with financing, and I want to again repeat that there's no federal, state, or local dollars involved in the program. Sometimes when County Board of Supervisors hear about PACE before we get to the county to have a meeting, they're thinking, well, why should we put county dollars into this? There are no county dollars in the program whatsoever. The financing can be used for renewable energy, for energy efficiency, for water conservation, anything that saves energy. And it can be used for existing facilities, for redevelopment, or for brand spanking new buildings. It was enabled by the state of Wisconsin in legislation in 2009. You can see the section of the statutes. And it's a loan secured by a special charge. And this is the part that's a little bit foreign to county government. So with a PACE loan, and we'll talk about that loan, this is why the counties need to be involved. Because in the event of a PACE loan, of a delinquency on a PACE loan, the county has agreed up front that you will put that delinquent amount, not the outstanding balance, but the delinquent amount on the property tax bill as a special charge. That doesn't mean that you guarantee it. There's no settling up with any other municipalities within your county because they have no money in the program. And if it's a contaminated site, as an example, the county does not have to take it in foreclosure. But you're just saying that you would follow your normal process, and if there's money left over after all the other bills are paid, then the delinquent part of the loan is paid. Next slide, please. So here's the type of improvements that you can use it for. It could be boilers and chillers. We're working with a hotel right now in Green Bay that is over 100 years old, and they have the original boiler in there. So every day, doesn't matter if it's summer, winter, spring, or fall, they have somebody checking that boiler just to make sure that it's not exploding. It's pretty much one person's full-time job in this large hotel just to monitor what's going on with that 100-year-plus boiler. It can be used for pumps and motors, can be used for automated controls, either the actual hardware or the software. Building envelope improvements, efficient lighting systems. It's amazing how much money can be saved just on putting new lighting in. Heating and cooling upgrades, renewable energy systems, solar, but it's much more than just solar. I'll tell you, the solar industry is really interested in this. We keep telling them this is not just about solar. It's about everything that does energy efficiency. And then hot water heating systems as well. Next slide, please. Who is eligible for PACE projects? Well, it's anyone that's considered commercial. And commercial also includes multifamily units of 5 and more. And some of the other work that I'm doing around the state, the more rural communities are really having difficulty with workforce-type housing. And they're getting more involved in actually funding and building a lot of those types of those multifamily units. Again, it can be used for multifamily, 5 units or more, nonprofits, so church and other nonprofit groups. Agriculture can use it. It could be for a digester or anything involved in energy efficiency. In fact, the largest PACE loan in the state of Missouri was $4 million for a hog processing center. It can be used for warehousing, hospitals. Again, we're seeing with hospitals, most of them that are looking at PACE are new. Industrial manufacturing and hospitality, so a lot of hotels are also looking at PACE. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits to the community? It stimulates job creation and economic activity. So most of the work that is done with energy efficiency is done by local vendors, local employees, and then a lot of times they buy those, if it's hardware, software, they're buying that from the local vendors. So it is about job creation and economic development. It also revitalizes building stock, and it improves property values. So that's another benefit for the county. As the property value increases and the assessment goes up, then it's also additional revenue coming into the county, which helps your property taxes. It's profitable. It lowers the cost of doing business and the bottom line for local enterprises. Again, sort of a rule of thumb is that almost any facility, unless they're really new within the last couple of years, is wasting about 30% of their energy. And that's just amazing when you look at what some of the costs are. For some communities, some more than others, it's achieving sustainability goals. And I I tell people that 10 years ago when I was involved, there was maybe 1 or 2 people in county government talking about sustainability. 5 years ago, there were maybe a few people, and at a meeting, they would sit in the corner and nobody else would really go and mingle and talk with them. Now, there's a lot of counties that are forming sustainability committees, and they're really taking a look at it. Participation is 100% voluntary. So the loan is, if I'm the property owner, I apply for the loan. The loan stays with me unless I sell that property. The loan goes with the property is what I wanted to say. And it's voluntary. So you're not creating a district and everybody within that district needs to be involved in the program. Voluntary, and only those property owners that decide that they want to use PACE will pay for that special charge. Next slide, please. So what are the property owner benefits? I'm going to give you an example here shortly. But it provides financing for 100% of the PACE project. So it's a loan where you can get 100% of the money. You aren't putting 40 to 50% out of pocket to do it. That's one of the main reasons why commercial businesses are not doing energy efficiency, is because they can actually make more money building or making their widgets than they can make on sustainability. So it's sort of an afterthought for a lot of them. And they have to take money out of their pocket or cash flow to pay for the energy efficiency. We'll talk a little bit about why that doesn't have to happen. You can exchange equity with low-cost debt. The repayment periods are up to 20 years. Some have even been up to 25 years. It creates a positive cash flow so that the energy efficiency that you create by this new equipment, software, hardware, is more than paying for the principal and interest on the loan. We'll get back to that. It increases the net operating income and the property value. So again, it's creating additional value through the tax assessment and therefore in property taxes. But if I'm the owner of that property and I want to sell it, that business is also worth more money because I've made these improvements. Energy savings performance guarantees, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. If I own the property and I have a PACE loan, I sell it to someone else, that loan transfers to the new owner. In a lot of cases, what we're seeing around the country is that if there's a sale in the property, the loan is paid off. But if it's not paid off, it transfers to the new owner. And in a situation where there's tenants, the tenants can share the cost savings so that you can just work that out in negotiating a new lease. So at this point, I want to give you an example, and here's the example that I use all the time. So if you had a commercial property owner within your county right now, and they were going to do energy efficiency, let's say they had a 35-year-old boiler, and they just wanted to replace it. It was still working, but they know it's not very energy efficient. They would go to their lender and say, I need to replace this boiler, and it's $300,000. The lender would say, okay, you need to come up with 40 to 50% of the money up front. We'll borrow you the rest. Here's your interest rate, and your loan's going to be somewhere between 5 and 7 years. That's typically how it would work in a business today. If the county makes PACE available by passing the resolution and the ordinance, here's what would happen. You would say, I'm going to apply for the PACE loan. The first step in the process is the company, the property owner, would have to employ a certified energy efficiency company to do an audit to show, not only show what the cost savings would be, because here's the key in the legislation. The cost savings are used to pay the interest and the principal on the loan. Okay? That company not only has to do the audit, they have to financially guarantee that that's the case. So if they underestimate or overestimate what the savings will be, they have to pay the difference. So you get that guarantee done. Now you go to your lender and you say, we have our energy efficiency audit done and the financial guarantee is in place. Now you go to your lender and say, I want to apply for a PACE loan. They will give you 100% of the loan now because they know that guarantee is in place from the energy efficiency firm that the cost savings are there to pay the principal and interest on the loan. You get a slightly reduced interest rate on that loan because due to the legislation, and your repayment period is for whatever the lifetime of that equipment or software is. So if the boiler is going to last 18 or 20 years, that's the term of your loan. And there's no pre-penalty payment if you decide that you want to pay early. One of the other things in here is it's very possible that whoever is holding the loan for the PACE loan may be a different lender than who has the mortgage, if there's a mortgage on the property. part of the legislation is, and this is nationwide, is there needs to be lender consent from the mortgage holder. And people say, well, why would a lender ever give that? Why would they give that consent? Well, they see the same thing that we're seeing, is that it creates economic development. It's a new market for them. The guarantee is in place. The property goes up in value. So they see all the positive things. So we have several lenders that already have told us, mortgage lenders, that said, this is a great idea, and we'll support it. So any examples on that part? Because next I want to talk about the commission itself, the PACE Commission. Okay, I'll go through the PACE Commission, and then if there's questions after that. So next slide, please. So what is the PACE Commission? When we took a look at this and working with Andy Phillips, again, the main thing we said is we want everybody to play by the same rules. If we don't do that, the property owners aren't going to do this. It's amazing how many developers are out there that have properties in multiple counties. I'm talking like 20, 25 different counties. So they really think this is important that we have consistency throughout the state of Wisconsin. So we formed a commission, and every county that passes the ordinance to get involved in PACE, you are allowed to have a member on the commission. So there's currently 19 counties with approval. Dane County hasn't appointed their person yet, but every county has put either a member of the county board chair, or in some cases it's been the county executive. And then they serve on the commission. And I think it's great to do that because if you move forward and you approve PACE, why wouldn't you want to see what they're doing in Racine and in Bayfield County and St. Croix County? Because you and the property owners can get ideas. Again, it's a statewide approach. We want a uniform program. It's a single point of access. So we hired the third-party administrator. We did an RFP. WEC, who we had been working with before, they were successful in winning the bid for the third-party administrator. They know Wisconsin. They know energy efficiency because they've been doing this for 30-some years. We also said that we wanted an open market. So we believe that to have true economic development at the local level, it would be very important to get local lenders involved as well. So what we're seeing in other states is that there's national companies that all they do, national lenders, that all they do is PACE loans. One of them happens to be based in Milwaukee. And that's fine. We have nothing against that, but we would like to see local banks get involved as well. And then I mentioned the lender consent. Next slide, please. So the PACE Commission minimizes risk. A member county is not required to contribute any capital or operating budget to participate. All you have to do is you pass the resolution and the ordinance to become a member, and then you're committed to, in the event of a delinquency, that you agree that you will put it on the property tax bill as a special charge. The third-party administrator manages the PACE program. They ensure all the compliance, and they administer the special charge for repayment. So one of the things that we have done different than every other state, except perhaps Texas, they're close to us, is in other states, the county actually they collect the payment. So either annually or biannually, they get the money from the property owner through the property tax bill, and then they have to pay the lender. Well, that's additional work for the county and the treasurer's office. We didn't want that. So what happens here is the property owner pays the third-party administrator, who then submits that money to the lender. That way there's a check and balance system. We know immediately if somebody is delinquent on their payment. And again, the only time the county would get involved is in the event of a delinquency. All PACE loans and special charges would require the consent of the existing mortgage holder. I mentioned that before. The member county is not required to settle or reimburse PACE charges to the PACE lender. So there's no guarantee in place that the county puts in place for anyone. So if the county, let's say, for example, you take a property in foreclosure and there's still an outstanding PACE loan, the county never has to pay that loan off. If there's enough money, all the county's expenses are handled through the sale of the foreclosed property. If there's money left, you could pay the lender. If there isn't money left, it actually stays with that property and goes to the next owner, whoever that owner is. The collection and enforcement of the delinquent special charges would occur pursuant to whatever the county's existing procedures are as far as the collection. One of the other things that we built in is, this was based on a good friend of ours and Deb's too, that's Jim Cruiser in Kenosha County, is who knows better than you at the local level if there's a good project or not. So we built something into our program that's different than any other state, is if the property owner applies for the loan, the bank does their due diligence, the third party does their due diligence, then it comes to the PACE Commission for a vote. If there's a project here in Waushara County, and if everybody else on the commission says this is a good idea and we're going to move forward, the home county, the host county, always has veto authority over the rest of the commission. And we think that that's really a good idea. Next slide, please. This is our website, pacewi.org. There's tabs on there for the property owners. The local government tab shows you who's all involved in the program. The lenders, we currently have 4 national lenders that are involved, that are approved to be part of the program, and we want to add now some of these local lenders. And then the contractors tab includes some of those energy efficiency audit firms that could do that type of work. We continue to add more and more. The website gets updated all the time. All of our governing documents are also on this website, so if you want to see any information, and the ordinance and the resolution, which I think, Deb, I may have forwarded to you, but I could send that again. But the ordinance and resolution has been, I would say, substantially significant in every county. There's been little tweaks here and there, but it's been, for the most part, it's been the same. Next slide, please. Here's some of the people that are probably the most knowledgeable on PACE in Wisconsin. So on the left-hand side from Von Briesen, you have Andy Phillips, Andy Guzikowski, and Mike Riopel. You could feel free to contact any one of them. Through the Counties Association, I'm doing 99% of the work on this. WEC, Wisconsin Energy Conservation Corporation, they're the third-party administrator. Jason Stringer he is the expert on PACE in the state of Wisconsin. And then Lynn Perrins from Foley & Lardner is the attorney who was previously with Von Briesen and Roper, and now moved over to Foley and is still doing some PACE work. So that is pretty much PACE. We are really excited about it because it does create economic development. It's also, it supports sustainability efforts. And again, the great thing is there's no federal, local, or state dollars involved in the program. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Yep.
Counties that are involved, who would be your longest standing member that's had this the
The
longest?
longest standing member is Eau Claire County. Eau Claire County came in April of 2016. They were followed by Dunn and La Crosse, and then the rest started. So, like I said, it takes quite a bit of time because usually it's more than one meeting, committee or county board meeting, to get this passed. Not everywhere. Some counties we've had it done in 2 meetings, and we're always willing to come back and answer questions. I think some of the other challenges that we have are getting additional lenders involved in the program because we really want to see the local lenders. But what local lenders are telling us is they want to see examples of projects. So it's sort of the chicken and egg, and for right now in the state of Wisconsin, we can show them several projects that have occurred in the city of Milwaukee, but they're not in a county. But I believe that probably within the next month or 2 for sure, we're going to have our first loan approved. And then we'll have, it could be the old Ramada or the Retlaw Hotel in Fond du Lac. There's another hotel in Brown County. There's the old Telemark up in Bayfield County. There's a couple medical and research facilities. There's a winery that's taking a look at it. That's one of the things that I didn't mention is PACE Equity, which is the lender that's in Milwaukee. They're looking at not lending anything lower than $75,000 for a PACE loan. So for a smaller nonprofit, it might be hard to reach that $75,000. But for these big hotels and other projects, that doesn't take much at all. The Retlaw that'll end up being between $4.5 and $5 million just to PACE. Another rule in place is that PACE cannot be used more than 20% of the entire project cost. So if you use the Retlaw as an example, if it's 20% would be $4.5 to $5 million, you know what the cost of that project is going to be. So there's some major expenses in some of these facilities. And then it's, another challenge I think is we've been working the counties and we've got that, we're doing well and we're making progress. But how do we get the lenders aware of this? How do we get developers aware of this? I believe that word is just going to spread. So we got PACE approved in Dane County last week, Thursday. We've been contacted by 4 different property owners in Madison already. One of them owns 10 parcels, contiguous parcels, and they're not looking at demolishing those buildings. They're gonna fix them all up and redo them. So we're pretty excited about that.
Has there been, do you have enough time for a track record on percentage of delinquencies? Or is it just
Good question, and I apologize for not mentioning that. Here's the really key thing, I think, for us is a lot of the time that we spend in the counties is talking about delinquencies and what occurs when a delinquency exists. Since 2009, when PACE was passed now in 34 states and the District of Columbia, there has never been a delinquency, not one single delinquency on a commercial PACE loan. And part of the reason is that financial guarantee and just the mortgage lender consent. So it's I think that the legislature is not just Wisconsin legislature, but all the legislatures that have passed this have done a really good job of putting some safeguards in place, but not putting the liability on the counties. So not a single delinquency to this point in the country. That's an amazing track record. And on the residential side, even though there is some, it's less than 1% delinquency on a residential PACE loan. But what's happening in some of the states that have residential PACE is they still have to do their due diligence on a loan, like any lender would have to do for the loan. The loans are much smaller, but what you see is maybe not the most honest contractors going into low-income areas and saying, hey, we can do this energy efficiency work for you and it isn't going to cost you anything. Then they get people to sign on the dotted line. And what they don't realize is that they're actually signing for a loan, but it's paid for through the energy efficiency. But because they don't have the wherewithal in the first place, then they go delinquent. So we are not considering residential PACE in the state of Wisconsin. If we did, we would have to go back to each one of the counties that approve PACE and ask for their approval. But that's not anywhere in our near future. I would also say that we've had a number of counties ask us about, can they use the program? And I actually met with some people in Milwaukee today that are looking at coming out a program specific for institutions and local units of government. But the fact is that we can bond, and we can bond for money for a lot less than we could get a money through a traditional bank. So it doesn't make financial sense for counties or cities or villages to be involved in the program at this point. But we are looking for other options for local units of government. Any other questions?
What would be our next step if we were to be interested in this? Where do we go from there?
Yeah, I would say you definitely want to make sure that your corporation counsel and the treasurer are comfortable. We just, within the last couple weeks, Jason and I met with about 62 or 63 of the corporation councils specifically on this issue. We spent an hour with them. And 2 weeks ago, we were in La Crosse and met with the county treasurers. And I would say that the biggest fear from the county treasurers is it's going to be additional work for them, or they're going to have to buy additional software and to do the PACE program. And none of that is the case because that is all handled by the third-party administrator. Again, we made certain from day one that this was not going to be an additional burden on counties. So next steps would be, getting your corp counsel and treasurer comfortable with PACE. If the board wants to move forward, we could come back. And if there's any questions when you take a look at the resolution and ordinance, we'd be more than happy to come back.
I have questions for John. Larry?
How is the third party reimbursed for their expenses?
Good question.
And time?
Good question. Because we get asked all the time, well, why is WCA doing this? How much are we getting out of it? We're not getting a penny, nor is the League of Municipalities, nor is legal counsel getting any money out of this. We're doing it because we think it's the right thing to do, and it's also good at the local level. The third-party administrator gets a transaction fee, but they only get paid when a loan gets closed. So rightfully so, they're doing the work, they're doing the upfront work, and then they're also doing the ongoing monitoring. They're doing the billing, so they would actually sell or send the property owner an invoice for their annual payment. And again, just doing all the monitoring. So they get, and I don't know exactly what they're getting, but it's a percentage of the loan, but it's capped off. I know that the cap is, or I think the minimum is $25,000, but it's capped on the high end as well. But that's not for the type of work that they're doing. It's not a lot of money. But they're the only ones that are getting paid. And it makes me think of another thing. So there is cost to get that energy efficiency audit done and the guarantee put in place. Focus on Energy, you probably heard about Focus on Energy. They used to pay 50% of that cost, but they no longer have the funds to do that. So any costs that are incurred can be wrapped in and rolled into the loan. So the cost for that energy efficiency audit can be put in the loan up front and paid through the energy savings. So WCA, the league, and legal counsel, we don't get a penny out of this.
If we decided to go forward with this, what would happen if none of our local lenders would want to be involved in this?
And they wouldn't have to be involved. We would certainly work with them. We continue to meet with interested lenders. They wouldn't have to. That would just mean that a commercial property owner within your county would have to look at another approved lender, whether it was Pace Equity out of Milwaukee or some other national lender. I had conversations today with Associated Bank. They're going to look at the program. There's a number of other banks, Wisconsin-based banks. But yeah, if there was no approved lender in Waushara County, they could use any lender. And as I know, the question came up in Ozaukee County, would the third-party administrator or WCA, would they tell a property owner you have to use such and such a lender? Absolutely not. We provide a list of the ones that are approved. We don't get involved in selecting the contractor or the lender. So it could still be used even if there was no local bank.
Are you finding that you're having any success at all with banks that are not local or Wisconsin local banks?
Most of the work, I'll tell you, I was at a PACE conference in Denver in February. There were about 400 people there, and they asked the question, how many of you a year ago even knew anything about PACE? And about 3/4 of them raised their hand. They didn't know anything about PACE. That's how quickly things are moving. So I think that as the program grows nationwide, we will see more local lenders get involved in the program. But again, and I don't blame them, they want to see some examples. They want to see concrete examples of things that have worked in Wisconsin. And right now, we can show them examples in the city of Milwaukee, but with the exception of one national lender, none of them are based in Wisconsin. So again, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to come back anytime if you want to pursue this further. And if it's a separate meeting, I get through here a lot. So, you know, if it's some morning or afternoon you want me to meet with Corp Counsel and Treasurer, you know, prior to another county board meeting, happy to do it. All right. Thanks so much for having me again. Thank you.
Thanks again, John. We appreciate your presentation. Give us something to think about. All right, next we're going to go to Parks and Solid Waste Department Annual Report. And Scott Schuman is going to give us, and we have to thank you for your work. Storm damage. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk tonight. I do have a PowerPoint also, but I'd like to start by talking a little bit about the storm damage that the Parks Department received last Wednesday. The parks that received the most damage were Kuzo Lake, Mount Morris, and the county fairgrounds. The Saxville collection site also took a fair amount of tree damage. Kuzo Lake was open, the road was open, and shelter area was open on Thursday. Mount Morris, we kept closed until Friday. And I'm told that most of our hiking trails are open today. So we We did not lose out on any shelter reservations for the weekend, so everything was maybe not exactly pretty, but it was functional. When we talk about Waushara County Parks Department, we maintain 14 park properties, and that includes the Bannerman Trail and Waushara County Fairgrounds. On the solid waste side, we maintain 9 solid waste collection sites. We have 3 full-time employees, 2 other than myself, and up to 25 part-time and seasonal employees. We also we maintain 6 budgets, if you want to switch the slide. Our budgets are the county parks budget, advertising promotion, snowmobile on the solid waste side, solid waste recycling, and a small budget to help get the word out on a cooperative clean sweep program that we share with Waupaca County. If you want to hit the slide. In the past, I've kind of glossed over the snowmobile program in these presentations by saying it's simply a pass-through budget from the state to local clubs. And recently I've had a few people ask questions about how the program works, so I decided that it's probably time to talk to this board and tell them exactly what goes on in that program. Go ahead. The 3 players involved in the Wisconsin snowmobile program are the state, the counties, and the local clubs. And in Waushara County, we have 11 local snowmobile clubs. Go ahead. For the state's part, they set the rules and regulations, they collect the fees, and distribute grants to counties for trail maintenance. The grant dollars are generated by sled registrations and trail passes, together with a small slice of the gas tax that's attributed to snowmobile use. As a result, the trail maintenance portion of the program is 100% funded by the users, by the snowmobilers themselves. Waushara County has 289 miles of funded trails, which translates to $72,250, up to $72,250 per year in maintenance grants, and all of that is passed to the clubs. Go ahead. The snowmobile clubs do the real heavy lifting in this program. They obtain permission from landowners. That includes public and private landowner permission, which is a huge part of the project. They also brush, mow, and sign the trails to state standards, and they also groom the trails for a smoother ride for the snowmobilers. Go ahead. For the county's part, each county in the state program has an assigned snowmobile coordinator. In most cases, this job is an addition to some other job in the county, typically a parks director, maybe a zoning administrator, somebody like that. There are some counties up north that have full-time coordinators, but not in this area. And what we do, I'm the snowmobile coordinator for Waushara County. We apply for state grants on behalf of the clubs themselves. At the end of the season, we audit the club vouchers, we distribute the grant dollars that come from the state, and we maintain, or at least in this county, we maintain the official open and closed conditions information for the public. We also work with the state and the clubs on projects that are required. Go ahead. And this is just an example of my trail cheat sheet, I call it, and this is something that I maintain throughout the winter, and you'll see that I keep track of open and closed and by club and by zone, and then any other notes that come up. And what we do is, go ahead, we report the status, especially open and closed, in 3 different locations. One is our website, and this shows our website, and then I can access this 24/7, can do it from home, whatever. If one of the clubs calls me and tells me that they need to close because of weather, because of an accident, whatever, we post it right away. So this is one of the locations. Go ahead. The next is the Travel Wisconsin. This is the Wisconsin Department of Tourism page, and it's a interactive site where a person can click on their destination, whether it's Waushara, Wapaka, whatever, and you'll get detailed information. Also, this is probably a bad slide because if I remember right, the gray is closed. So typically you can, a user can take a look at this map and see by color which areas are open, which areas are closed. So if they're loading up the sleds, they know how far they need to go. So it's a real handy site. Next. This is a Waushara County Snowmobile Trails map, and this is a good example of a cooperative project between the clubs and the county. The county does, or did, the map data, and the clubs actually print the map themselves, and in some cases give it away, in some cases sell it. Okay. So the questions that typically come up for me when people want to talk about the snowmobile program is how the per mile grant amount is established. And usually they want to complain about the DNR and how they aren't upping that per mile, haven't done it for a long time. It's not the DNR, it's the state legislature has to pass a bill to up that any time that they do that. The second one has in the last few years come up quite a bit. If the program is 100% self-funded, why do snowmobile clubs hold fundraisers? Why do they have tip jars? Well, the reason is not all the trails are state funded. A lot of these clubs have club-funded trails, and they have to pay for the grooming themselves. They have to pay for the signs themselves. Also, there's certain things that are not funded by the state. For instance, the map we just saw. It's pretty hard to have a snowmobile club anywhere without a map, but the state does not fund that map. So there's certain items that they need to come up with the cash themselves. And the big one is who decides when trails open or close. I have a discussion about that every year with somebody. It's the clubs. The clubs will call me, and basically what happens is I'll just pass it on in these different locations. Typically what I'll try to do, though, is try to get clubs in a certain zone to open and close at the same time if we can, but ultimately it comes down to the club. Okay. Anyway, the most important persons in the Wisconsin Snowmobile program are, number one, the club members, because without them we wouldn't have a trail system. And number two, maybe more important, is the private landowner. Without them, certainly we would not have a snowmobile trail program, at least in this county. So anyway, at this time, I'd like to thank a few people in the courthouse that have helped in this project over the years, and two of them are from zoning, Rick and Kyle. They do a lot of snowmobile riding with GPS units, and they get a lot of data for the mapping. Also, Zach and Andrew from administration, they do a lot of the mapping work itself. Lori Romer is the new department secretary in our office, and she has been a great help this last year because the state has gone to a new computerized voucher system for the clubs, and it's been a real struggle for each of the clubs to get up and running, and she's been real patient and well with me also. So anyway, thanks also to Lori. So I guess with that, I'll open it up to questions. Anybody have any?
If you decide that that the trail maybe shouldn't be open because of the lack of snow or something like that.
If I do?
If you do, can you override what the club wants to do?
Technically, but we have a relationship where I can talk to the club president or representative, and typically we can work it out. Anybody else?
Go ahead, lady.
How many days in a year is the snowmobile trails typically open?
Typically? Well, the last few years it hasn't been very good. I ran the numbers, and for some clubs it was less than 2 weeks this last year. Yeah, it's been kind of sad. But unfortunately, they still have to sign, mow, brush, each one of those trails, and then pick them up all, you know, get it all picked up at the end of the season. So they still have considerable cost.
Do they allow ATVs on their trails?
They don't, at least not at this time. There are places in Wisconsin that have winter ATV use, okay, a mix of snowmobile and ATV. It has not been brought up in Waushara County at this time. The snowmobile trails themselves are winter use agreements only, so it wouldn't be something that, without permission, that people could ride ATVs on snowmobile trails. And I guess just a clarification, these folks that came to talk about ATVs, they're talking about routes, and the difference between a trail and a route is a route is actually on the pavement, on a road, and a trail is off the road. And the program that I'm talking about is trails, and any substantial length of trail that has to be on the road will not be funded by the state. It's off-road only for this program. Having said that, if these folks had off-road ATV trails, there is a pot of money that they could access for that.
That's what I was wondering, if the ATV people had approached you or to see how to go about, you know, having the trails versus routes.
Well, they haven't recently, but in the past I've talked to several ATVers. The hard work in that is a snowmobile trail is hard enough to get permission for, but an ATV trail can be more of a challenge.
You have an awful lot of trails that go across irrigation fields. Yeah,
And that's it. I mean, you'd be in a tighter window on where you could go. It's not easy. It's a lot of private land. Anybody else? I want to thank Deb Behringer for her years of service to Waushara County. I'd like to welcome Robert, and good luck to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Good job. Okay, next we have a discussion of possible motion action item on the November County Board meeting date and a possible change to November 7th, and this will be Mel.
Sure. I am requesting this of the board on behalf of the financial staff of the county who have to do the work of the budget, which is in my office currently. The statutes say that the county board has to have an annual meeting on the first Tuesday after the second Monday. It's worded really bizarrely, but so in our case, that would be November 14th this year. And as you know, at that meeting, we also pass the budget. And apportionment worksheets have to be completed after passage of the budget, and those apportionment worksheets are due the day after November 14th. So if there were any sort of changes at the board meeting, Sarah would not have, our budget finance supervisor would not have adequate time to make those changes to meet that state deadline. So on her behalf, I'm requesting that maybe we could move that meeting, because this is the latest possible time that the first Tuesday after the second Monday could be, just moving it to November 7th this one time, if you're amenable to that. Thank you.
I would make a motion to go ahead and move that meeting to November 7th.
Motion by Dennis, second by Mark Kirschner. Are there any questions or comments?
Is that a Tuesday?
Yes.
Yes, still is Tuesday.
Still a Tuesday. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we have consideration possible action on the following resolutions.
Resolution number 8-6-17, resolution amending resolution number 20-5-13, authorizing request for legal expense coverage from Wisconsin County Mutual Insurance Corporation.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion? Well, after we do the motion, then Deb will explain. Right, Deb?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Kirschner. Second by Cap.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The county has been with the County Mutual over 20 years, and part of that is a legal expense coverage that somebody from the organization can contact County Mutual and ask for some help. It might be a pre-claim, just to get things rolling. And so we've had to modify this a couple times over the years, but this basically, the change here is it's removing the administrative coordinator and it's adding the Waushara County Administrator now that we have that system in place.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Resolution number 9-6-17, resolution authorizing the transfer of up to $4,345.25 from the unassigned general fund balance to cover Waushara County portion of Fox Valley Workforce Development Board, Inc. settlement with Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Weddy. Second by Eckstein. All righty, Deb, would you like to take the
Sure, thank you. Back in, I think, 2010, the Fox Valley Workforce Development Board, which we are a part of, went through a Department of Labor audit. And initially, they thought we were about $4.3 million in unanswerable costs. Well, so since that time, I think Norm put me on that board in 2012 to try to help get some of this straightened around. Since that time, they have taken that 4.3 million and they've come down to 102,000 that they say that they can't reimburse the costs of. And so the CEOs, which are the LEOs, the chairs or the county executives from those counties, decided that the counties should each pony up and to settle this claim. The first thing they're waiting for is to see if the insurance company for the Fox Valley Workforce Development Board will settle any of that. And so that's why it's written in this way, that's up to that amount. And so those boards decided that each county would pay their share of the 102,000 based on the population. And so in Waushara County, that would mean $4,345.25, up to that, depending on what the insurance adjustment is. And so basically this is just asking that we settle our portion of that once all those answers are gotten from the insurance company, and then we're done. It's all settled.
Any questions?
Why do we have to do it in advance?
Well, it's either that or you would,
Why can't we wait until we actually know the amount?
if you want to, I guess that's up to you. It was just a matter of, that's why it's written that way, it's up to. So we know that we're going to have to pay something.
The larger counties, of course, have a lot more that they have to pay. And this could be stretched out over 5 years, but we felt that given the amount, our amount, that it would be better just to pay it, all of it, when it's due. Any other questions? Yes, we have to have a roll call.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Wadel,
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mrs. Krentz, Mr. Heisey,
Yes.
Mr. Tim,
No.
Mr. Kapp,
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein,
Yes.
Mr. Weddy,
Yes.
Mrs. Collada.
Yes.
10 ayes, 1 nay. Mhm. Resolution number 10-6-17, authorizing Waushara County Sheriff to join the North Central Emergency Response Team.
Motion by Wado, second by Cap, to approve. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? actually to the Fox Valley Workforce Development Board. And our county administrator, Robert A. Civic, will complete Deb Berenge's term with the Workforce Development Board.
Move to approve.
Motion by Weddy, second by Eckstein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, now we need a motion to convene to closed session pursuant to 19.851C Wisconsin statutes to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and we will be discussing the corporation counsel's salary. Motion by Kirschner, second by Eckstein, and we need a vote.
Mr. Waddle?
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yeah.
Mrs. Krantz?
Yes.
Mr. Heisey?
Yes.
Mr. Tim?
Yes.
Mr. Kapp?
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Collada?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
11 ayes.